Hello, Viking Nation. I'm here with another Viking Showcase, and today I'm here with Superintendent Dan Deitte. We have an important vote coming up this November 2nd, where the school district will be asking two questions. Question one is a technology levy, and question two is a building bond. The goal of this video and videos to come is to provide accurate details regarding question one and question two. We want you to be an informed voter. So today we will be covering question number one. Mr. Deitte, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
I promise I won't put you on the hot seat, but I will be asking you some questions so we can learn more about question number one. So I think the first question is an easy one. What is question number one?
I'm happy to be here with everybody so that we can help you to understand what's going to be on the November 2nd vote. Question one is a technology levy. We're asking for $500,000 a year for 10 years to help cover our increasing technology costs.
Why do we need this technology levy?
Well, we have found that technology is a very important component to a strong 21st century education. And, since 2013, our technology costs have more than tripled from $150,000 to over $450,000 a year.
That's a big increase. And, can you explain how the district went from spending $150,000 a year to $450,000 a year over the last 8 years on technology?
Well, the biggest increase that we really had 8 years ago was when we went to a one-to-one initiative. That means that we have every student in grades K through 12 with their own device that the district provides for them. Grades 5 through 12 can take those devices home and use them at night to do their homework. But every student has a device at their disposal. And well, thankfully, if you think about the COVID that just hit recently, we had the one-to-one initiative already. There were districts that did not have this one-to-one initiative. They had to scramble, run and try to get all these computers for kids so that they could learn from home. We didn't have to do any of that. We already had it in place. But it allows our teachers really to use an innovative teaching style and our students to have individualized instruction. Really, these devices require us to have to replace them every 3 to 4 years, just like anything else that you have. You probably have your own computers. When people have things, sometimes things happen to them, but overall, they're good for about 3 to 4 years. By about that 4th year, we have to then go and trade them in and replace them for a new device. And we really need to have a dedicated revenue stream, such as this levy, in order to help us pay for these expenses.
So besides the devices, are there other technology costs that are part of what the district pays every year?
Yeah, we have other expenses that are related to technology. We have online subscriptions that teachers utilize, quite a few actually. They have transformed education, and I'm going to try to have you hear some of this from some teachers later in this week. They're going to do their own video. But they have transformed education in a great way. We have servers that we have to house our information on. Those are expensive. We have online textbooks, which again has been a great thing because kids, can go home, they can use their devices, they can read the textbooks from home. It's not just paper versions that we used to have, like when you and I probably went to school. It's at their disposal at any time. We also have staff that we have to pay for. Right now we have Devin and Lois, and Devin is full-time. Lois is about a quarter time. We need to pay for that so that they can maintain all this technology on a day-to-day basis. And then we also contract out to the service co-op in Marshall, and they help us with maintaining our server and all the updates that we need to do.
Good. How will the taxpayers of the school district, how will they know their individual tax impact regarding question one?
Well, that's a great question. We plan on very soon, hopefully early this next week here, to start an area on our website that's going to be just dedicated to the November 2nd vote. In there, you're going to find like these videos. You'll find the newest one first all the time. You'll find the tax impact that you asked about. It'll be there. You can just open it right up and you can see where you fall on there for the value of your house and how much tax impact there would be per year. And then we'll have like a question and answer document that I'll probably put in there soon so that you can find everything you need about the November second vote right there on our website. We
Excellent.
we'll also utilize social media, and we are going to have some community meetings coming up, which we'll tell you about at the end of the video.
Perfect. So besides the increased technology costs, what are other factors that have been impacting our school budget?
Well, the biggest one right now is inflation. Inflation is right around 5%, and it hasn't gotten better since the pandemic. Usually we get around 2% from the state. So you can see that it's hard to get enough revenue in and keep up with all the expenses that we have when inflation is at 5% and revenue increases are at 2%. So that's been the biggest one, inflation. Competitiveness too of jobs. If you just take a look around Marshall, Minneota, and anywhere else, you'll notice that really these jobs are starting people sometimes at $15 to $17 an hour. And we have to stay up with that in order to attract quality staff. And so those have been the biggest increases. And we need to have some kind of dedicated revenue stream that comes in to help us so that we can keep our quality staff and provide the kind of education we want for our kids. We also have PSEO costs. PSEO costs, basically, that is students in 10th through 12th grade can take college classes and get credit for those college classes when they get to their college that they go to after high school. But that does come at a cost for our school districts. And this is a great program because it's free credits for for our students and parents and families. But when I got here in 2008, those costs were at $7,500. And now those costs are at $165,000. That kind of increase that's why we need to have a dedicated revenue stream so that we can fill in the holes of those kinds of increases, and it doesn't make us deficit spend and have to make reductions. So those two things, inflation and PSEO, have really hit, along with, of course, just the overall increase in technology costs.
Let's talk about revenue. Where is Minneota in terms of comparison to other districts and just in general?
Well, I did a little research study about referendums and levies. And I found really there are only 4 districts in our region. And this is about 25 school districts that I looked at all around us, touching us, that don't have an additional operating referendum or levy in place, which does not then give them that extra revenue that I was talking about that we need. And those 4 districts are Minneota, RTR, Lakeview, and Marshall. Now, if you look at RTR, Lakeview, and Marshall, those districts have done substantial building renovations or new buildings in the last couple of years. And a lot of their tax money is going for that. Whereas we don't foresee needing a new building anytime soon. We've done a lot to our building, but we do need to cover our operating expenses. And so we would like to put our tax money dollars into that. And then you'll also hear about a bond coming up later with these videos. Minneota also, when I looked at it, as far as their per student expenditures and their per student revenue, we are the lowest in our region with those same districts that I compared to, those 25 districts. We receive the least amount of revenue per student because we do not have any extra operating referendum or extra levy going for operating costs. And we also spend the least amount of money per student out of those districts. And, that's kind of worked for a while because we did get the tuition agreement with Ivanhoe, and that brought, right around 50 to 60 students, which brought some revenue with it. But with the 5% inflation costs and the 2% revenue and some, decreasing enrollment, we have not been able to keep up with the expenses. And so we are starting to go backwards. We did get some COVID funds over the last couple of years, and we've been able to it's been kind of a Band-Aid to helping us not deficit spend so quickly. But those COVID funds are going to be gone after the 22-23 school year, and we'll be right back to deficit spending, and a larger amount of deficit spending will happen.
What happens if question 1 isn't passed by voters this November?
Well, we're already, deficit spending some, and it's going to get worse. That's why we're asking for question 1 to help us with our operating costs and all the technology costs that I explained earlier. If we can't get question number 1 passed, what's going to happen is we're going to have to make reductions to staff and programming. There will be no choice. And when you do that, you start to lose the quality education that we've worked so hard for the last 8 years, especially, to really ramp up. With being the lowest amount of revenue per student and the lowest amount of expenditures per student, I believe we've done a really great job with the quality education that we've given our students. And we were some of the highest in our MCA tests, and we've done a lot with technology. We want to be able to keep that up and improve it as we go through the next 10 years.
So you already know that we have projected budget shortfalls. What have you already done in preparation for these future budget shortfalls?
Well, it's my job as a superintendent to always be looking into the future and to start to alert the school board when I think that we are starting to deficit spend and that might get worse. So last school year, we saw some of this starting up, and we were able to make $50,000 worth of cuts. And it's still happening, the deficit spending. So we have made another $100,000 worth of cuts for the 21-22 school year. But you can only do that for so long before you're going to have to make reductions in staff and programs, which we're trying to avoid doing because we believe that we should be improving our programs, not going backwards and losing out important services for our students.
Besides paying for our current technology expenses, will there be anything new in terms of programming that you look at bringing to the district with the passage of question number 1?
Well, if you look at it, we have about $450,000 worth of technology costs right now. We're asking for $500,000. So we are leaving ourselves around $50,000 that we would like to do some new things with. One of the areas that we haven't discussed much is our career in tech. Those areas include welding, woodworking, business, foods, agriculture, important areas that we need people to get into for careers. And we have not been seeing enough people get into these areas. There's a lot of shortages. So we would like to do some things with that $50,000 to make things better. We have a very, very old welding stations. A lot of you probably use the same stations if you went to school here, and they're not really as safe as we'd like them to be. And so we'd like to do something with that, but we'd like to look at some of our shop equipment that we have. Some of it is old, and maybe look at having an upgrade in there. And then, of course, we want to keep making sure that our ag program and business program and FACS, which is, the old word for home ec, basically continues to improve as well. So those are areas that we'd like to beef up a little bit that we can't right now because we are deficit spending.
All right, well, that's all I have for questions. Hopefully you, the viewer, come away from this video with an understanding of question number 1. Please know that if you have questions that were not answered during this video or need more clarification, reach out to Mr. Deitte and anytime, and he'll be more than willing to answer those questions. And I want to make sure that there are 3 community meetings coming up, and those will be held in the choir room here at school. And those dates are August 25th and September 13th and October 25th, all at 7 p.m. And we'll make sure we put that information out there on the website and school social media and all that, so you won't be able to miss it. In future videos, we will cover question number 2. Until then, always remember,
it's a great day to be a Minneota Viking, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in.
All right, thank you very much.